Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We love digging into all sorts of things on this show, but today is a bit different.
Oh, yeah, definitely different.
You handed us excerpts from a thriller
Deceived by the light.
by Damien Boyd, that's right.
Yeah.
And you basically said, give me the lowdown.
Enough to make you want to read it.
Yeah, but don't spoil the fun.
Exact.
So no pressure.
None at all.
All right, let's unpack this. Deceived by the light. Even the title is so interesting.
It really is.
It hints at mystery and at things not being what they seem.
Like it's playing with us.
What's your take on that?
Well, it's fascinating how a title can prime us,
Yeah.
for a certain reading experience.
Totally.
Deceived implies manipulation, being led astray. And then on the other hand, you've got light,
Right.
which could represent truth, clarity, or even a false sense of security. And so you put them together, and it suggests that there's a journey ahead where the protagonist and maybe even the reader are going to have to kind of navigate through some murky waters.
Definitely murky waters. And then we meet Detective Inspector Mungo Willis.
Oh, wow.
And he is not your typical polished detective.
Not at all.
He's retired, he's recovering from a hit and run, and he's carrying a lot of guilt
Oh, yeah.
over the death of his former colleague, D.S. Lizzie Harper.
Heavy stuff.
Really heavy stuff right from the start.
I think what's so interesting is that Boyd uses those flaws, to make Willis so compelling.
Right.
He is an alcoholic. He's haunted by the past. He's constantly second-guessing himself. You immediately wonder, can this guy even function?
Right.
Let alone solve a complex case.
Exactly.
But at the same time, you see this drive, this relentless pursuit of justice that makes you root for him despite his flaws.
Despite all those rough edges.
Oh, yeah.
The setting also really grabs me, rural Somerset.
Hmm.
We get these vivid descriptions of Ilminster, which Willis clearly has a complicated relationship with,
Yeah.
and the A303.
Okay, A303.
Major road that just seems to wind through the whole story.
It does.
Almost like a character itself.
Well, I think that the setting is almost like another character.
Yeah.
Those familiar landscapes, the small towns, the constant hum of traffic on the A303. It all creates this sense of normalcy
Right.
that's constantly being disrupted by these brutal murders.
Yes.
And it's a really effective way to build tension and keep the reader off balance.
Totally off balance, and talk about tension. The story kicks into high gear when we get multiple murders,
Oh, yeah.
each with eerie similarities to Lizzie's case.
Right.
Willis starts his own unofficial investigation because he suspects a connection that nobody else sees. So he's putting himself in danger.
Definitely.
He ends up right in the middle of a clash between police and protesters at the Stonehenge Free Festival in 1985.
Wow.
Talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
I mean, that's where the thriller element really takes over.
Yeah.
Willis is thrust into these increasingly dangerous situations.
Right.
And the Battle of the Beanfield, which, for those who aren't familiar, was a real event, a violent clash between police and New Age travelers.
Wow.
It highlights just how far Willis is willing to go. So you wonder what's driving him.
Right. Is it purely a thirst for justice? Or is there something more personal going on?
Yeah, like a need for atonement.
Maybe. And here's where it gets even more complicated. Willis is convinced there's this connection to Lizzie's case.
Yeah.
But his former colleagues are having none of it.
Right. They just dismiss him.
They dismiss his theories,
Yeah.
and they point to the fact that the convicted murderer, Martin Clark, died trying to escape police custody.
It's like he's hitting a wall everywhere he turns.
Everywhere he turns, he's blocked.
It's a classic setup, isn't it?
Yeah.
The lone individual battling the system.
Right.
That's either corrupt or just unwilling to see the truth.
Yeah, it makes you question, who can you trust?
Exactly.
And how do you fight for justice when the very people who are supposed to uphold it are standing in your way?
So frustrating.
It is so frustrating. And then just when you think it can't get any more intense,
What?
there's a bombshell at Lizzie's inquest. Willis drops this major revelation he was deliberately run down.
Oh, wow.
So suddenly everything we thought we knew is thrown into question.
It really is a turning point.
It is.
That inquest changes the game completely.
Yeah.
It casts doubt on the closed case, suggests this connection between these seemingly unrelated murders, and it puts Willis directly in the crosshairs
Oh, yeah.
of whoever's behind it all.
He's the target now.
He is.
And the stakes are so much higher.
Absolutely.
And the questions just keep piling up.
Like, who wanted Willis silenced?
Right. And
And
what?
if Clark didn't kill Lizzie, then who did?
And what's the connection to these other murders?
Yeah, it's like a puzzle box has just been thrown open and
Mhm.
we're scrambling to put the pieces together.
But Willis isn't just some cold, calculating detective.
No, he's not.
We get these glimpses into his inner turmoil,
We do.
his guilt over Lizzie's death. He admits he was supposed to go with her that night,
Oh, wow.
but he didn't get there in time.
Oh.
So he's carrying the weight of what if.
Oh.
What if he had been there? Would she still be alive?
Yeah. That's a heavy burden to carry.
It is a heavy burden.
And I think this is where Boyd really digs into Willis's character.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just about solving the case, it's about him wrestling with his own demons.
Right.
That sense of responsibility, that guilt, it's fueling this obsession with uncovering the truth, but it's also tearing him apart.
Yeah, you can't help but wonder, can he find peace? Can he find closure?
Yeah.
Or will this pursuit just consume him entirely?
It might.
It might. And then there's Angela,
Oh, yeah, Angela.
this journalist who's helping Willis with his investigation.
She's kind of an outsider, right?
She is an outsider.
Yeah, which gives her a different perspective on things.
Yeah, and I like her role.
Me too.
She's not just a sidekick.
No, not at all.
She's actively involved
Mm.
in uncovering information.
Right.
She challenges Willis.
Yeah.
He pushes him to think differently.
She brings a fresh perspective.
And it's almost like she represents the reader, you know?
To-
Like, she's asking the questions that we're all thinking.
Yeah. Plus, it creates that dynamic where they're both learning from each other.
Yeah.
Which adds another layer of intrigue to the story.
It does. And then the story keeps throwing these unsettling details at you.
Like what?
Like the fact that Faith Bennett's house was meticulously cleaned after her murder.
Oh, yeah.
So it removed any trace of the killer.
It's like they're trying to erase their own existence.
They are.
It's creepy.
It's a detail that chills you to the bone.
It does.
Because it suggests that there's this level of premeditation and control
Right.
that makes this killer even more dangerous.
Definitely.
And then there's the fact that the killer seems to be inflicting injuries on the victims
Yeah.
after they are already dead.
After they're already dead.
So it's not just about killing.
Yeah.
It's about something more.
Right. Like it's something darker.
Much darker.
That detail is disturbing.
It is.
You know, it adds a psychological element to the violence.
Right.
It suggests that the killer is deriving pleasure or satisfaction from these acts.
Yeah.
It's not just about silencing the victim.
Right.
It's about something much more sinister, you know, something that speaks to a truly disturbed mind.
Absolutely. And it raises the stakes even higher
It does.
because it makes the reader question the very nature of evil
Yeah.
and what drives someone to commit such horrific acts.
Yeah, those are big questions.
They are big questions. So Willis is digging deeper. He's following every lead. And he ends up talking to Paul Spaulding,
Okay.
this vet who witnessed the incident on the bridge where Martin Clark died.
Right.
And Spaulding remembers seeing a car with a broken headlight near the scene.
A broken headlight.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Could this be the clue that breaks the case wide open?
Well, it's one of those seemingly insignificant details that could be the key to everything.
Yeah.
Right?
In a good thriller, every piece matters.
It does.
And this broken headlight could be the link to the killer that Willis has been searching for.
It could.
It's these little details that keep you hooked, you know,
Yeah.
wondering how they will all connect in the end.
They always do.
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
We also meet Terry Greenslade.
Okay.
He's the lorry driver who unintentionally ran over Clark on that bridge,
Right.
and he remembers seeing two figures on the bridge that night.
So that means that someone else was there with Taylor.
Exactly. The plot thickens.
It does.
This is where the seeds of doubt about the official version of events are planted.
Right.
Because if there was someone else on the bridge,
Yeah.
then Taylor wasn't alone.
Right.
And Clark's death might not have been the accident that everyone believed it to be.
It changes everything.
It does, and those suspicions about Taylor just keep growing.
Uh-huh.
Willis observes a police search at Taylor's cottage. So this confirms that the investigation is now focusing on him.
So it's like Willis is one step ahead.
He is.
But can he prove it?
Can he prove it before it's too late?
That's the question.
And then we get this intriguing detail during a visit with Lizzie's parents.
Oh.
They mention they're going to hire a solicitor
Oh, wow.
to investigate the events leading up to her death. Specifically the time she was missing before her body was found.
Okay.
It's like everyone is starting to realize there's more to this story than meets the eye.
Yeah, like things aren't adding up.
Or not adding up.
And this is another layer of complexity
It is.
that Boyd weaves into the narrative.
Yes.
You know, Lizzie's parents aren't just grieving.
Right.
They're actively seeking answers.
Yes. They want the truth.
And their determination could uncover information that might help Willis.
Or it could lead to even more danger.
It could.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of tragedy, there's this thirst for truth,
Yeah.
this need to understand what happened and why.
Absolutely.
And just when you think you have a handle on things,
yeah.
bam.
Wow.
Alan Willis's ex-wife's new husband
Oh.
is brutally murdered
Oh my
in
God.
Willis's own flat. Talk about a game changer.
That's insane.
It's insane.
This is where Boyd really throws a wrench into the works.
He does.
It's not just a random act of violence.
Right.
It's a direct attack on Willis,
Yes.
a way to frame him and silence him permanently.
It brings the danger right to his doorstep.
It does.
Makes it personal.
Yeah, in a way that's both terrifying and heartbreaking.
Yeah, and it raises questions about the motive.
Right. Was Alan targeted just because of his connection to Willis?
Yeah.
Or is there something more sinister at play?
We don't know.
It's a cliffhanger
It is.
that leaves you desperate to know what happens next.
Absolutely. Hold on to your hats, folks, because things are about to get even wilder.
So we left off with Willis reeling from that murder, the murder of Alan, his ex-wife's husband.
Right. He's officially a suspect.
Yeah.
He's
been deep.
He's piecing together this conspiracy that goes deeper than he ever imagined.
Definitely.
And he's still dealing with all of that emotional fallout from Lizzie's death. I mean, how does he even begin to unravel all of this?
Well, Willis knows he's running out of time.
Yeah.
And he becomes fixated on finding this young woman, Maxine Green,
Okay.
who vanished from Chard.
Right.
And he's convinced that her disappearance is linked to these murders.
Yeah, especially since she stole Martin Clark's personnel file.
Right, from her job at B&D Light Haulage.
Okay, so that file keeps popping up.
It does.
Almost like it holds the key to unlocking this whole mystery.
It might be the key.
Why would she risk stealing it, though?
Yeah, what was so important about it?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
I think Willis believes that Maxine stumbled upon something in that file.
Yeah.
Something that connected Jackson to these murders.
Right.
And that she's in danger because of it.
Well, we already know that Jackson is a dangerous character.
Yes.
Discharged from the Army for mental instability.
That doesn't exactly paint a comforting picture.
Not at all.
So Maxine could be in real trouble.
Absolutely. Willis knows that he's dealing with someone who's capable of anything. Right. Someone who wouldn't think twice about silencing anyone who gets in his way.
So how does Willis even begin to look for Maxine?
Well, he goes back to B&D Light Haulage.
Okay. The company where Maxine and Martin Clark worked?
Exactly. He needs to understand what she knew.
Right. Why she took that file.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, that both Taylor and Jackson were drivers. And now this haulage company keeps popping up.
That's true.
It makes you wonder if there's some kind of connection.
Right. Like if their jobs enabled their crimes somehow.
Yeah. Maybe they had access to vehicles.
Yeah.
Or isolated locations that played a role.
Yeah. It could be a coincidence.
Right.
But in a story like this,
yeah,
you start to question everything.
Every connection, every detail.
Exactly. Nothing is random.
Right. So what happens when Willis goes back to B&D Light Haulage? Does he run into Jackson?
He does.
He does.
He ends up questioning Bruce Jackson,
okay.
one of the owners, and his business partner, Turnbull. Oh, he has to be really careful, though.
Yeah.
He can't reveal his true identity knowing how dangerous Jackson is.
That's a delicate dance.
It is.
Trying to get information without raising any red flags.
Walking a tightrope.
Right, one wrong step,
Right.
and the whole thing could blow up in his face.
Exactly. So, at first, Jackson is evasive.
Okay.
Claims that he barely knew Martin Clark and offers little insight into Maxine's disappearance.
But Willis isn't easily deterred.
No, he's not. He knows how to push buttons.
Now this is where it gets really good. Willis, frustrated with Matt's on, Jackson's stonewalling, decides to play a dangerous game.
Oh, really?
He tells Jackson that he knows that Taylor was involved in the murders.
What?
And that he witnessed his death at the hands of the IRA.
Oh, wow.
Now, it's a bluff,
Okay.
but it's a calculated risk to provoke a reaction.
And does it work?
It does.
Wow.
It's a risky move.
It is.
It's a high-stakes gamble,
Yeah.
but it pays off.
How so?
Jackson is visibly rattled by the news of Taylor's death.
Oh, wow.
There's this bead of sweat that appears on his temple.
So he's nervous.
Oh, yeah. It betrays his carefully constructed facade.
So Willis sees right through him.
Oh, yeah. That must have been a satisfying moment for Willis.
I bet it was.
To finally see a crack in Jackson's armor.
Yeah.
To see that flicker of fear.
It's a small victory.
It is.
But it confirms Willis's suspicions.
That he's on the right track.
Yeah, that Jackson is hiding something.
So what's Jackson's next move? Does he break down and confess?
Well, not exactly.
Oh, yeah.
He realizes he slipped up.
Right.
And he tries to regain control of the situation. So he suddenly becomes more cooperative.
Oh, really?
Even offering to show Willis Martin Clark's personnel file.
Sounds like he's trying to play Willis.
It does, doesn't it?
Maybe buy himself some time.
Yeah, or figure out what Willis knows.
Classic manipulation.
Classic.
But Willis isn't easily fooled, is he?
No, he's not.
So as Jackson goes to retrieve the file,
Yeah.
Willis notices something interesting.
What's that?
There's a newspaper clipping about a British soldier stationed in Corfu. And it's the same edition of The Guardian that Greenslade, the lorry driver who hit Clark,
Okay.
was photographed reading in a taverna.
Oh, wow.
And get this, it's from the same time period that Greenslade claimed to have been in Corfu.
So that's the soldier who provided Greenslade with his alibi.
Yes, for the night Martin Clark died.
It's like everything's clicking into place.
It is... Willis confronts Jackson about it,
Yeah.
pointing out the inconsistencies.
Right, like the fact that Jackson, a former soldier himself, was also stationed in Corfu during that time.
It's brilliant.
It's a brilliant moment of deduction.
Yeah.
You know, connecting these seemingly disparate threads
Right.
to weave this compelling narrative.
The pieces of the puzzle are falling into place.
We are.
And it's becoming pretty clear that Jackson isn't just Taylor's accomplice.
No.
He's the mastermind behind it all.
And here's the chilling part.
Yeah.
Jackson doesn't even deny it.
He doesn't.
He admits to orchestrating Clark's death,
Wow.
framing him for the murders, providing Greenslade with a false alibi.
Oh my gosh. He practically revels in his manipulation.
He does.
How he played the system, everyone.
That's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
He's not just a killer.
No.
He's a puppet master controlling everything from the shadows.
And it's a chilling example of how someone can exploit their position,
Yeah.
their knowledge of the system,
Right.
to manipulate events and escape accountability.
It really is.
It's a reminder that power can be a dangerous thing,
It can.
especially when it falls into the wrong hands.
So what's Willis's reaction to this confession? What does he do?
Well, he's furious.
Of course.
He's disgusted by Jackson's complete lack of remorse and the pleasure he takes in his crimes.
Right.
But he also knows he needs to act fast.
Okay.
He needs evidence proof that will expose Jackson and bring him down.
Yeah, but he's alone.
He is alone
Facing a killer who's already proven that he'll stop at nothing.
to protect himself.
What can he possibly do?
Willis is back into a corner,
He is.
fueled by anger and this desperate need for justice. And he decides to confront Jackson.
He does.
Head on, he's out of options,
Yeah.
out of time.
It's a classic showdown.
It is.
Good.
Good versus evil.
This is where the tension really ramps up.
I bet. So what happens during this confrontation?
Well, Jackson realizes that Willis is a threat,
Okay.
and he attacks him.
He attacks him.
It's brutal. He throws him to the floor, beats him, and threatens to kill him.
Oh my gosh.
He taunts Willis,
Yeah.
describing his crimes in gruesome detail,
Oh, wow.
and even suggesting that Willis will be his next victim.
That's a horrifying scene.
It is. You can feel the desperation, the fear, the sheer brutality of this attack.
And it's a testament to Willis's strength,
Yeah.
his unwavering commitment to justice that he doesn't break.
He doesn't give up.
No, he's facing pure evil, staring death in the face,
Wow.
but he doesn't back down.
It sounds like a true test of his character.
It is. Does he survive?
Does he survive?
Hey, what about Maxine Green? Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm still reeling from that cliffhanger.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Willis was in a brutal fight with Jackson. You know, his life was hanging by a thread. Did he manage to survive?
Well, let's just say that Boyd throws us another curveball.
Okay.
Just when it seems like Jackson has the upper hand,
Yeah.
someone unexpected bursts onto the scene. Seamus.
Seamus.
The IRA operative Willis encountered back in Belfast.
Wait, I thought they parted ways on less than friendly terms.
They did, but remember, Seamus was initially convinced that the British Army was responsible for his sister Bernadette's death.
Right.
But through Willis's investigation, the truth came out. Taylor and Jackson were the real culprits.
Right.
So Seamus followed Willis to Ilminster,
He did.
and in a dramatic turn of events, he kills Jackson,
Wow.
ending the threat once and for all.
Talk about a twist. I did not see that coming.
It's a good one.
So Willis's investigation, even though it was unofficial and put him in danger,
Yeah.
actually helped Seamus find some kind of closure for his own loss.
It's powerful, you know, how our lives can be so interconnected,
Right.
how actions have these ripple effects that we might not always anticipate.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of situations, sometimes justice finds a way,
Yeah,
even if it takes an unexpected path.
it's true.
So Jackson's dead. Does that mean Willis finally gets justice for Lizzie and the other victims?
Well, he does, but it's a hard-won victory.
Yeah.
With Jackson gone, Willis takes the evidence he's gathered to the police.
Okay.
And he lays out the entire conspiracy, Jackson's confession, the cover-up that protected Taylor, everything.
He even reveals what he witnessed at the Battle of the Bean Field.
Right. Exposing the police brutality that took place.
That's a huge risk.
It is.
He's still a suspect in Alan's murder, and the police haven't exactly been receptive to his theories.
Right, but it shows how determined he is to bring the truth to light no matter the personal cost.
He's not going to let these crimes be swept under the rug.
Not a chance.
So how do the police react? Do they finally listen to him?
Well faced with irrefutable evidence.
Yeah.
Sharp, the officer who'd been so dismissive of Willis, is forced to take action.
Oh.
A full investigation is launched, and eventually the truth is revealed.
So Martin Clark is officially cleared.
He is.
And Taylor and Jackson are exposed as the real killers.
It's a public acknowledgement of the injustice that's been done.
Yeah.
A long overdue victory for Willis, and a small measure of peace for the victims' families.
It's a bittersweet victory, though, isn't it?
It is.
So much damage has been done. Druce is dead. Willis is physically and emotionally scarred. And the system that allowed these crimes to happen remains largely unchanged.
It raises questions about the limits of justice, the lasting impact of trauma, and the potential for corruption that lurks even within institutions meant to protect us.
It's a reminder that the fight for truth and accountability is often a long and arduous one.
That's for sure.
What about Maxine Green? Did they ever find her?
Sadly, yes, but not in the way we hoped.
Oh, no.
Jackson had abducted her, keeping her hidden in a remote location. She's found dead, another innocent life lost because of these men's cruelty.
That's heartbreaking.
It is.
It's a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of these crimes. How they ripple outward, affecting not just the victims, but their loved ones and entire communities.
Yeah, you're right.
So where does that leave Willis at the end of all this? Does he find any kind of peace?
Well, the ending is subtle.
Okay.
It leaves some room for interpretation. We see Willis trying to piece his life back together. Visiting Lizzie's grave, going to therapy, returning to some semblance of a routine.
But it's clear he's still haunted by everything that's happened.
Oh, definitely. The trauma, the guilt, the weight of the truth he uncovered, it's all still there.
Shaping his present and his future.
Yeah, it's a realistic portrayal of how trauma works.
Right. There's no magic cure.
Yeah.
No easy solution. Healing is a process.
It is.
And sometimes the scars remain long after the wounds have healed.
That's true. And the story doesn't shy away from that complexity. It doesn't offer easy answers or tidy resolutions. You know, it acknowledges the darkness, the pain, the moral ambiguity that often comes with the pursuit of justice.
But it also offers a glimmer of hope,
It does.
suggesting that even in the face of immense loss and suffering, there's still a possibility for healing, for finding a way to move forward.
Yeah, I like that.
So it sounds like Deceived by the Light is more than just a thriller.
It is.
It's a story that stays with you, that makes you think about the complexities of justice, corruption, guilt, and the human condition. It's a story that challenges us to confront difficult truths about ourselves and the world we live in.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for a book that will keep you on the edge of your seat, challenge your assumptions, and leave a lasting impression, then Deceived by the Light is definitely worth checking out.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Deceived by the Light.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope we piqued your curiosity without spoiling too much of the fun.
You tried.
Now go grab a copy and experience this gripping thriller for yourself.